Cuba! It's me, Alien Habanero. This is episode 20 of the W.I.L.L.I.W show, which stands for Wrestling is Life. Life is Wrestling. Now, I'm going to start another thing. I've been doing the Ike Shaw series. Now, I'm going to do another thing called Funny Rib series. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but I'm going to tell stories of people that ribbed me, or ribs I've been a part of, or ones I've just seen. So I'm going to tell a couple each time. This will be part one. First, I want to talk tomorrow in Ontario. Come on, let's get out there, people. We have 3 shows in Ontario tomorrow. The first is 2:30 p.m. in St. Catharines, Ontario, is NWX at the CWF training facility. And you could get that show and still make it in time to catch some of the other 2 shows. The other shows, as I believe in Toronto, is Smash Wrestling at 5 p.m. The new girl in town, that will be a fantastic show. And then at 7 p.m. in Etobicoke, Ontario, we have Lucha Proof, which is like Lucha T.O. and Death Proof, doing something together. 3 fantastic shows for you tomorrow. Get out there, people. Watch the shows and tell me what you think of them. Comment on my videos. Tell me what happened. What was good matches? Who you'd like to see? What happened? And we can discuss that on tomorrow's episode. Or no, sorry, Mondays, because these shows are tomorrow. Get out there and support wrestling in Ontario. Now, okay, so for the first rib I'm going to tell. This is the earliest one I can remember. When I first got to the wrestling school, there was this guy, Wayne Grossman, and he was not that tall, but he was like a big dude, and he had a mean, scary face, and he was a bit of a bully, and he loved to intimidate the young guys coming in, and he hated the young punks, and he was so rude to me. And I remember like the second day I was there, him and Lars Phoenix is like one of my best friends ever in the wrestling business. They took me to the YMCA, like, you're gonna start working out, get big muscles and stuff. And I used to work out at home before this, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying. So anyway, he got in my face and was really rude to me, and I stood up for myself, and I was like, dude, you can't talk to me like that. And I remember Lars was like, that's the day that you earned my respect, because you didn't back down, you didn't let yourself get treated like that. So anyway, he was really hard at first, but after a while, like, I didn't really win him over, but I grew on him, and he got to be a little bit better anyway. Once he realized I wasn't a threat, or, I mean, they can't blame him, I guess, because there's so many guys that come in for a couple of weeks and then they leave, so why get used to anybody? But there was this dog at this school named Star, this black dog, and I couldn't stand it. It was my job to walk her 2 times a day, and I grew up being a dog person. I loved dogs, but Star just bothered me. All she cared about was stealing food off people's plates, and every time I would take her outside, she'd growl at people, and she stunk, and she wasn't a dog for me. Like, I got love for dogs, and Wayne Grossman loved this dog. Like, he would sleep with her, and that's all he cared about, always hugging and cuddling and kissing that dog. So anyway, me and this other guy, Powder, we were the young 2 out of the bunch, and Wayne was always kind of rude to us, right? So eventually he was leaving the school. He was going to go back to New Jersey, and according to him, he had a tryout with ECW. That's what he said anyway. So me and Powder got pretty brave for being young punks. I guess also because he was leaving, so we didn't have to deal with the consequences. So when I took out Star to walk her one day, we got a bag and we put Star's poop into a bag and we put it in his luggage the day he left. And a couple days later, someone called the school and was like, you can thanks Powder and Alien for the dog poo in my luggage, because he didn't even notice it until he got home, so it was in his bag for like 3 days with all his clothes. I mean, it wasn't the greatest rib, but that's the first one I ever was a part of or anything like that. And then the second one was, I got this house with Lars Phoenix, Jesse Jones, and Sandy. And so we were sick of living at the school. We wanted to train still, but we couldn't stand living there with Ike. So we put our money in together and we lived there. Now Jesse, I mean, I love him. He's one of my greatest friends in the business today, but he could be quite a character at times too. And this was when we were first getting to know him, but we trusted him enough to live with him, obviously. He was quite a character, but he wasn't into the partying at all. But the one night we were all celebrating a bit and we were partying and we convinced him to partake in the partying with us. And he did. But he didn't want to get too carried away because he had some like important meeting the next day or for a job or something. Well, we stayed up really late. And it was like 2 or 3 a.m. And Jesse finally decided he better go to bed because he was feeling a little bit under the weather. Well, me and Lars and whoever else was there, I'm pretty sure Sandy was there, maybe Lance, maybe Russ, and we decided, let's pull a prank on him. Now, this wasn't the best prank either, but to me, I just get such a chuckle out of it. I don't know why, I just laughed so hard. But anyway, so Jesse fell asleep and he was like knocked out, like there was no waking him. So we snuck into his room. We changed the time on his watch. We changed the time on his computer. We changed the time on his alarm clock. Because remember, he had to be somewhere at like 11 a.m. or something like that. Something for some kind of job interview. And then we took this cup of water and poured a little bit on his crotch area to make him think he peed himself. Okay, if Jesse, if you're watching, I'm sorry, man. It's just so funny. It's true, whatever. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can tell about me, so that's cool. Whatever. I hope we're still friends. Anyway, so, all of a sudden, his alarm hits. It says he has to get up and go to the interview. Well, he's only slept like 2 hours, but he thinks it's the time, like, so he very groggily gets up. He's really groggy. And, he like tries to freshen up in the mirror and whatever. And like I said, he wasn't into the party and all, so it was even harder on him. So he goes and he leaves and he goes to catch the bus to go to his appointment. And we just burst out laughing because it worked. So, like, not too much longer after, he comes back home and he's furious. And he didn't call. And so, anyway, it took a couple days before he warmed up and he gave us this story. Apparently, he went on the bus and he paid for his ticket and he got a transfer ticket. And the ticket said like 7 a.m. or something. But on his watch, it said it was like 11 a.m. And he argued with the bus driver for a good 5 minutes. He's like, I need a better transfer. He's like, I need a transfer till that's gonna take me till like 1 p.m. or whatever. And the guy's like, no, sorry, we only give transfers for like 2 hours. It's only 7 a.m. Your transfer's only good till 9. And Jesse's like, look right here at my watch. Now this is before cell phones. He's like, it says right here 11 a.m. And then I guess the bus driver showed him his watch, and then like the time on the like whatever the dash thing or whatever. And then one of the other customers on the bus was like, dude, it's only 7 in the morning. So Jesse was so embarrassed because he just argued with the guy. And finally he came home and he slammed the door and he didn't want to talk to anybody and he went back to bed. But to me it was just so funny because we planned it so long and it actually worked out perfectly. You know those ones where you plan it and then it just nothing happens of it? This one worked out so good. But I have so many other great ribs, way better than those. That's just like a little teaser to start it off. I have so many. This is going to be part 1. But anyway, this is episode 20 of the W.I.L.L.I.W show, which stands for Wrestling is Life, Life is Wrestling. I love wrestling is tattooed right on my arm. I'm your host, Elian Habanero. I do love wrestling. Cuba!